What's are some hard to swallow pills about relationships? The ebb and flow of it all. As a teen you chase the butterflies high of relationships. As an adult you have to learn that as your hormones settle, you need settle to and not constantly be seeking the highs and creating conflict to achieve them. Even though the highs are addicting, you need to learn to be good with the chill times, the comfort, the ease. Don't lose the butterflies completely, of course, but don't create them with negative behavior. Create them by pulling your partner in for a long passionate kiss instead of the normal goodbye or hello peck, or by planning a date or a fun new activity to experience together. Keep each other on your toes in a good way, but be okay when things are just a so. I needed to read this one. I think I'm obsessed with always being in that high, and I look for trouble when there's none just to cause an argument. I feel like I have this pressure of making sure we are still in love, and I'm scared my partner will leave if he's comfortable or bored. I'm starting therapy soon because of this. Not everyone will value your relationship like you do. It's very important to make sure you both have the same expectations and values. Otherwise, like two unequally yoked animals, you will continue to walk in circles over the same ground. A lot of it is boring. The magical moments and massive I love you so much posts on social media are like 2% of the time. A majority of a relationship is just everyday living. Your idea of a perfect relationship is the small sliver of it that TV, movies, and social media have led you to believe. You gotta look forward to sitting on the couch in sweet pants after eating so much stir fry you're both farting non-stop. I remember when I first moved in with a woman and was like, so now what do we do? This was after morning sex, breakfast, and just sitting on the couch. She had been in a long-term relationship at some point and had a laugh about that. Putting off ending things for fear of hurting someone's feelings is the worst possible idea. If the relationship isn't right and you know you don't want to be together, then sparing someone's feelings in the short term only leads to more pain later down the line. Be honest and front the horrible conversation. This is something I'm struggling with right now. They are a great person and I don't want to hurt them, but I think my feelings have changed. It makes me sad and a little sick to my stomach to even think about hurting her. I mean, what you said is not so different from love, as in caring for the other. Try asking yourself what changed and how. Our feelings are not so stable and vary drastically depending on a number of things that often don't involve the question in hand. The point in doing this is to be sure of what the issue is. Is the problem something about her? About another person? Like falling in love with someone else? Or is the issue in the dynamics of the relationship? Or even in yourself? Then, you can either explain everything to her or break up. Maybe you both can overcome this together. Maybe it's better to go separate ways. However, doing things that will hurt both of you based only on a perception of your abstract feelings will only cause you to regret rushing an important decision, even if it ends up being the right one. Losing your identity within a relationship is easy to do. Finding it again isn't. Remember to keep your friends and hobbies. After my last relationship ended, I felt guilty for not hurting. I was kind of happy, back in my garage, working on cars with my friends. Took a few road trips. My phone was quiet, S was cool. You were up. I didn't even realize it, but I used to paint a lot. During my 7-year relationship, I didn't create a single thing, and in the 6 months since it ended I've completed 10 pieces. I used to draw/make all sorts of art. Ever since my most recent relationship I've basically completely lost my ability to draw anything. I try from time to time, but I end up getting so upset and frustrated that I'll let myself lose the ability that I just quit. Eventually, love is not being crazy in love all the time. Love is a crock pot, not a deep fryer. When you decide to commit to your person, you are sacrificing your fantasy of being with them. In the crushing or beginning stages of a relationship, we are idealizing them as more perfect than they are. But we all have our faults. And in choosing to be together we are met with reality versus fantasy. From the Fundamentalists podcast titled Engagement, we are idealizing them as more perfect than they are. That's a difficult one. Sometimes it feels better to imagine someone as perfect than to realize they are not. That's happened to me, where I've known someone briefly, and lots of time passes before I see them again. I remember all the good things, and the imagination does a great job at character building. Then I see them again, and they're a totally different person. It sort of gives you that sinking feeling like someone you know died, but you can't say it, and pretty much have to internalize it all. Very unsettling. Once you get beyond the initial lust/heart fluttery part of a romantic relationship, you begin to realize that love looks a lot different than the rom-com movies. It's not embracing in the pouring rain, kissing under the Eiffel Tower, trying to board the plane to convince them not to go. It's handing them a box of Cheez-Its when they get home from a 12-hour shift and are too exhausted to move. It's driving them to the airport at 3 a.m. for their dream job interview. It's managing their prescriptions when they get too sick to do it themselves. Relationships are often unglamorous, and while a committed relationship can be very rewarding, there's more to it than you and your hot partner canoodling and going on trips for the rest of your lives. Relationships can take a lot of work, some of it that you will never see coming in the early days. I've been with my husband 9 years, married for 4. I'm at a point where rom-com relationships don't even look desirable to me. Lol. They're too crazy and over the top. Love, and the anxious independency that comes with it, can keep people together through almost anything, including mutual abuse, suffering, boredom and misery. At a certain point, you have to accept some particular negative parts of your partner's personality or move on. My husband is almost 50. We've been married for over 20 years. While he will continue to experience personal growth, there are parts of his personality that are likely to not ever change. The same is true for myself. Of course. This, you either accept it without grudge, or if it's something you can't be flexible with, you move on. People who think they can fix things about their partner are doomed to be in a constant state of disappointment. You could do everything right and still lose. God, this is hard to hear. My ex left me, and reading this, after giving it my all for 2 years, and having left nothing for myself hurts like hell. Dude, you left. In a good relationship, the other person adds to your happiness, doesn't become it. So while your ex is no longer in your life, you still got good old awesome you. Also, after leaving those relationships, and experiencing better ones, the better ones don't require you to give it your all. They require you to be yourself, and yourself naturally wants to be your best for them. You got those to look forward to, which is nice. Sounds like you have quite a lot left for yourself. Just because you love someone doesn't mean you should be with them. A relationship needs more than love. A person I know really needs to hear this. They insisted too much on being in something with me when I told them that it wasn't going to work. We wanted opposite types of relationships, that in the end it all ended pretty bad. Some people just think that love is going to make things magically work, without even considering that sometimes people that love each other are just incompatible to be together. This is one of the worst romantic situations one can experience. It is so hard to let go and move on when you find someone extremely compatible intimately, but life circumstances, timing, different ambitions and goals in life, all can work against a long-term relationship. In the end, you were just two ships passing in the night. It's an absolutely maddening feeling. You try to get over it, but even months later you're still wondering, up in bed late at night, will I ever find someone else like this? Your partner should be kind to you and vice versa. It's not okay for your partner to scream at you, or curse you out, or deliberately hurt your feelings. This isn't to say that it never ever happens. We all are human and occasionally we mess up. But if they are not consistently kind to you, if they aren't sorry when they are mean, and if they repeat it, then that's a problem. If you wouldn't accept the behavior from a friend, then you absolutely should not accept it from a partner. The idea that it's normal for your partner to be mean to you is so freaking bad, and I've seen way too many people accept crappy relationships because they think love means never having to say sorry and that getting screamed at is acceptable. Fixer-upper. Relationships often lead to disaster. It takes two to be in a relationship. If one person is putting in all the effort and the other isn't, it's eventually all going to fall apart when the one who is giving the effort stops. Great relationships are mutual. Is this supposed to be a hard pill to swallow? Some people think they are so wonderful that they don't need to put in any effort. I definitely didn't give back the effort my ex put in. If I had, things would have 100% gone differently. He was amazing, and I never took the time to care for him or our relationship. It was 8 years. So for me, when it ended, that realization was hard to swallow. You can't look for someone else to be your other half. You have to learn how to be a whole person on your own. This means being able to take care of your own emotional needs. 2. Underrated comment here. You can't be responsible for someone else's happiness. My wife and I enhance each other's joy. Example. She loves going to concerts and often my schedule means I can't go, or occasionally the tickets are expensive and it's someone I'm not a big fan of, so she goes without me. But if I can, I go, and if the tickets are cheap, even if I'm not a fan, I go. She likes it when I'm there and says it's better, but she still has fun without me. In a good relationship, you help lessen the bad and increase the good. I so deeply hope that one day I can have a relationship with someone like you and your wife have. They aren't going to magically know you're upset with them. They aren't going to read your passive aggressive signs. They aren't going to pick up on that. Be direct. If you are upset, talk to your partner about it. Not your friends. Not you parents. Not strangers on the internet. Your partner. Edit. WTF, this legit doubled my karma. Thank you all so much. Not communicating can lead to rifts that never seal. When you look at someone with rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags. It's easy to dismiss toxic characteristics because of love. Sometimes you won't get that clarity until you're a safe distance away. Surprised the Bojack Horseman quote was so far down. This predates Bojack. Sometimes things don't work. Even if both parties are objectively wonderful people. Even if they love each other and enjoy their lives together. Sometimes things just get in the way and force you to make a hard choice. This hit too hard. I broke up with my long-term boyfriend yesterday because neither of us were willing to uproot our lives to move states. We loved each other deeply and were so happy together. It hurts, man. You should not be anxious about the relationship all the time. You shouldn't be stressed about if they love you, or if they are going to leave you, or if they are out cheating on you, or what they are thinking. It shouldn't be a major source of stress. In fact, if it's a good partnership, both of your lives should be easier. The old adage about relationships being hard work isn't really accurate. Being with them shouldn't be hard or a battle. It's more accurate to say that a good relationship takes effort. Like you should both be striving for open communication. Handle conflict in a healthy way. Make each other happy, but it shouldn't be exhausting, or hard or stressful to be with them. They should be a source of comfort. Edit. Some people have pointed out that this isn't necessarily the case for people with anxiety or other mental health issues. And you're totally right. It's not that anxiety is necessarily a sign of a bad relationship. But if you're feeling a lot of stress and anxiety about a relationship, it is a sign that something is wrong. If you feel stress because your partner is vague or mean or withholding, that's an issue. And if your partner is good to you, but you can't shake the feeling that something is wrong, that's something to talk about with them and potentially get help for. Every adult human could benefit from therapy. I guess what I'm trying to say is that being with your partner shouldn't take you feel worse. It shouldn't make you feel bad. Edit 2. User at SASSYTIT summed up what I was trying to say quite well. I personally have ADHD, and one of my symptoms causes me to be anxious and stressed basically 24/7. And that tends to lead towards worries that my current so is just gonna give up on my insanity and leave. But when I compare how I feel with him vs how I felt with my emotionally abusive ex, there's a world of difference. With my ex, that was the only thing on my mind. I changed my patterns and habits just to be around him and make him happy so he wouldn't leave me. With my current so, I don't have to do any of that. I stress about it more often than the average person does, but I can go days on end without having a thought. That's the difference. Apostrophe. Relationships do not have an instruction manual. Relationships are whatever the people involved want it to be. Sometimes what you're So wants is drastically different than what you want. No matter how much you love each other, you might not get past the differences. Lots of people are actually looking for contradictions in relationships. As Bo Burnham put it, you want someone insanely hot, but not someone obsessed with their looks. You want someone sensitive but not weak. A lot of people want someone who won't use them for anything, but who they can use themselves to fulfill their own needs or desires. I think the worst part of growing up for me has been the utter realization that lots of people want to use who they can to fit their own ends. It's not exactly always malicious, just practical. You grow more sensible as you age, and so you're less willing to tolerate relationships of any kind, where you don't derive some sort of benefit. The result for me has been that I'm less trusting and more guarded, which only hinders finding genuine connections in love or friendship. Now all I hear in my head is a good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy, apostrophe. Everybody farts, like a lot. If it endangers your mental health, it's not worth it. Ugh, thank you so much. I was going through this thread feeling so guilty all over again for things falling apart, but I was falling apart trying to keep it together. Thank you. Love isn't everything. At least not love as most people interpret it. I wouldn't even say it necessarily takes work. Two people can love each other deeply while being terrible for each other, treating each other poorly, etc. All the love in the world doesn't compensate for lack of growth. If both people aren't growing and evolving over time, if the relationship doesn't foster growth and security, then love simply is irrelevant. It should go without saying, but you should always be on the same team. Never adversarial. Love isn't merely a feeling. It's a dedication. It means caring about something more than yourself. And that's how it can persist even in the face of spite and strife. If you only stick around when it's easy, that's not love. That's convenience. Well said. It's too bad that English really only has the one word for love. There's a bunch of different things that all get grouped up under the umbrella term of love. Infatuation, lust, brotherly love, parent-to-child love, etc. You don't, or shouldn't, love your spouse the same way you love a football team. Or love your child the same way you love tacos. Too many people get into a marriage-level relationship with cheeseburger-level love. Familial relationships also need the effort that all other types get, or else they will fall apart. Currently dealing with this one. It's hell. Especially since I went from my own dysfunctional family to another. Eventually one of you has to die first. I think about this in quiet moments, and it makes me so sad. I can't imagine life without my husband, and I'm sure he feels the same about me. My dad passed over 20 years ago, and honestly, my mom really wasn't the same person after she lost him. Same here. My mom just sits and waits. I've told my wife I want her to be healthier than I'm at all times of our life, because there's no way I could handle her being gone. It's extraordinarily selfish, but I want to die first. No buts about it. People keep changing as their life goes on, and there are no guarantees that you and your partner will change in compatible ways. Someone can be your soulmate today, but in a year the person they've become may not be the soulmate of the person you've become. While you shouldn't simply give up on a relationship the moment you hit a rough patch, you also shouldn't let a happy past keep you in a miserable present. Works for close friendships as well. Well put. Cutting off some of my oldest friends because of what they've become was the hardest thing to do, but I noticeably felt better mentally after no longer having them in my life. It's tough, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I got kicked out of a friend group because I wasn't sufficiently toxic. I was becoming less negative, and they were becoming more negative. Better for me in the long run, but at the time I was like, damn. Sometimes you'll be abusive without being aware of it. Why did my abusive father cross the road? Beats me. Why did Roger's dad cross the road? He left the jumper cables in the boot. If someone is gonna cheat, there is no stopping them by checking their phone, messages, where they go, or whatever. They are gonna cheat regardless. People trying to protect themselves from the chance of their partner cheating on them is mind-blowing to me. I mean, the sooner they do it, and you find out, the sooner you know. that they aren't good for you, and that you need to get out of that shitty relationship. My main fear is just never finding out, or only finding out after a long period of time, which happens to some people. I don't know what I would do if I discovered something like that and felt like the past however many years of my life were fake.